Storytelling has always been a key element of modern gaming. It's not just about the graphics and sound, but also the narrative that draws players in and keeps them engaged. From epic tales of adventure to thoughtful explorations of complex themes, storytelling has the power to transport us into another world. As technology advances, so too does our ability to craft immersive stories within games. With modern tools and techniques, developers are now able to create believable characters and captivating plots that draw gamers in like never before. Storytelling is no longer just a means of entertainment, it's an essential part of modern gaming that can help players connect with each other and explore new ideas. So let's take a look at how developers are using narrative to bring their games to life. Gaming or watching and reading stories. Why do you even have a second option when you have story in your game? Welcome to GeekySama, where we take you through all the arena has to offer. Subscribe and get ready to dive in. If not the very definition of the human experience, learning, and culture, stories are a crucial component. It is believed that narrative is the mechanism through which we have evolved to construct reality and make sense of the world around us, including the games we play. Narrative is said to be the mechanism through which human beings have evolved to understand their existence in terms of the structure within spoken or written accounts of connected events. The digital age, often known as the age of computers, television, film, and video, began in the 20th century. Before this, there were a lot fewer ways to tell a story. The main forms of media for doing so were talk, books, and plays. The ability to tell a story, however, evolved with the invention of film and cinema, which Marie-Laure Ryan calls the art of the 20th century. The video game business has expanded significantly over the past few decades and appears to have exceeded the music and film industries in terms of revenue. This may be attributed by anyone to the development of technology and advancements, which over time led to computers, consoles, and video games becoming significantly more accessible and affordable. No longer is playing video games reserved for a small number of people. Thus, video games have taken on a crucial role in many people's life for a variety of factors other than just aesthetics and gameplay. Nowadays, the industry believes that good gameplay and compelling storytelling go hand in hand. These are necessary components for making a fun, intensely interactive game. There are many excellent games where narrative is less crucial, such as Pac-Man and Minecraft, but if you look closely, you can still uncover the mythology and justification for why their worlds are the way they are. Nonetheless, the great majority of games rely on strong storytelling and writing to keep players engaged, directly involving the player and further submerging them in the universe that the designers built. Gamers don't listen to narrations. They live in the narration. Do you think story in the game just another story? Dude, gamers make it their own story. Pigs are the adversaries, while birds are the protagonists in Angry Birds. The pigs wanted to keep the eggs they stole, but the birds want their eggs back. Your emotional background is that. So, starting with the plot of your game will make it easier for you to identify these two opposing forces, as well as give them personality and emotion. Storytelling has always been a key aspect of modern gaming, and the Pokémon franchise has been a prime example of this. Pokémon titles have always had captivating stories with interesting characters, providing an immersive experience that players can enjoy. The stories are often lighthearted, with a good amount of humor, and help to draw players into the game. With the latest entries in the series, we've seen a focus on even more storytelling elements, such as world building and character development, that further help to bring the Pokémon universe to life. With the help of these elements, the Pokémon franchise has become a beloved staple in modern gaming and will continue to be for many years to come. There is really one key distinction between games and other kinds of narrative. Despite the fact that game creators from all over the world have taken a range of different strategies to reveal their worlds, characters, and stories, you play the role of the protagonist. Films and novels can also aid in character integration, but video games allow players complete command from the captain's chair. The player has complete control over their actions, interactions, and ideas. The storylines that stand out, though not all game developers pay the same amount of time or detail to them, have a special place in the hearts of fans of all ages and creeds, and they genuinely deserve to be commended for it. By allowing players to select the exact way the tale will end, player-tailored games take the ability to put them in control of the game's plot to a new level. The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead by Telltale Games, as well as Life is Strange and the Mass Effect trilogy, are notable examples of games in this genre. As the plot develops, the player's decisions affect how the characters view and interact with them. Deciding to support one character over another could lead to betrayal from that person. A democratic leader's downfall or the creation of an empire could be the outcome of choosing to side with one faction. To convey a compelling tale in a video game, it is not necessarily essential to carefully consider the structure and potential outcomes. Several video games make excellent use of what may be referred to as the traditional narrative structure. These video games efficiently portray the story by utilizing a range of features, including cutscenes, conversation, and text. The Last of Us and the BioShock trilogy are two beloved examples of this. The BioShock trilogy creates an intricately plotted, enthralling tale that plays with the idea of time travel and parallel universes. While The Last of Us presents the captivating tale of survivors Joel and Ellie, who must cooperate as they travel westward across what is left of the United States in an effort to perhaps locate a cure for the contemporary fungal illness that has wiped out the entire human species. The writers knew how crucial it was to create enduring characters, thought-provoking themes, and satisfying twists in order to take their games from decent to cult classic status, which would be talked about for decades to come. One of the most simple ways to tell a story is to do exactly that. Introduce a narrator to the game so they may give the player the story. The story of a bunch of colored rectangles seeking meaning is told by the game's narrator. Thomas was alone. The story is continuously told in the past tense by the narrator. In the end, this results in a very linear method of presenting the narrative to the player. People can watch the play passively as the plot develops. Yet, The Stanley Parable is a game that questions the straightforward narrative storytelling found in titles like Thomas Was Alone. Contrary to traditional game storytelling, this story is non-linear. The player is continually faced with decisions to make that will affect how the game will play out in the future. The Stanley Parable's writing shines in this area. No matter the option the player chooses, the game's narrator has a viewpoint to share. Crash Bandicoot is a 3DR platformer that typically follows the story of a marsupial trying to save his sweetheart from the clutches of the adversary Dr. Neo Cortex. It was first released in 1996 by Sony Computer Entertainment. Like many classic video games, this one prioritizes gameplay above narrative. Instead, it concentrates on the level design and platforming mechanics to give the user an entertaining experience. In actuality, the plot is only introduced in two cutscenes. The first, in which Crash flees from Cortex's castle, and the last, in which, following the final boss battle with Cortex, Crash saves his fiancée. The plot just serves to contextualize the player's activities and to provide motivation for the player to finish the game. We can infer from both games that they both use a traditional damsel in distress plot. The unnamed carpenter and Crash are both trying to get their partner away from the bad guy. The plot likewise plays a supporting role to the gameplay in both games, existing only to provide background for the action. The player is motivated to move forward by the plot, which gives them something to work toward. Also, they both have linear plots, which is a side effect of the gameplay. These games require the player to go through a set of stages sequentially. There are no gameplay branching possibilities, and consequently, no player decisions that result in branching narrative. Another highly regarded game in the emerging genre of episodic games, in which new content is provided on a regular basis in the form of chapters, is Life is Strange. It was created by Dotnod Entertainment, and because it uses a fully branching storyline and the player's choices directly determine the game's destiny, there are multiple possible endings. The player experiences events from the viewpoint of Max Caulfield, the protagonist who realizes she has the capacity to turn back time. Using dialogue and multiple choice actions, the player makes decisions that have an impact on characters and future events. This game, unlike any of the others before it, is entirely story-based, which means that the gameplay has been subordinated to the story. This kind of game seeks to convey a story and is made by its creators to provide the player with a narrative experience that cannot be found in other media, like books or movies. When the narrator clearly states that the player chose the door to the left, yet the player angrily picks the door to the right after being given a choice between two doors, the game can give the impression of defying its own logic or story. The player is made to feel confused and has a very bizarre experience while playing the game as a result of the repeated contradictions and fourth wall violations. Due to the abundance of available content, video games are a fantastic medium for storytelling. In the end, there are numerous ways to tell a story in video games. To enhance the player's experience with the gameplay, developers will frequently combine two or more storytelling techniques. The setting, gameplay, and, yes, the story being told will ultimately determine the best manner to tell a tale in a video game. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to watch more.